Hey guys, AnimeWestReacts. Here's gonna be a reaction to Talentless Nana Chapter 78, Siblings Part 2. Nice color cover page of a bunch of sakura flowers, I assume. Or some kind of pink flowers, and then Kyoya, Nana, Serrano, and Psyche all in front of him. Kyoya looking at him, Nana looking at Kyoya. Okay, so picking up from the last one, winter came steadily. I'd become a burden on my brother. He says, Kyoya, are you here on your way from work again? He says, yes, hello. Opens the curtain, and then she's laying there. It says, every night I went to bed, I couldn't stop coughing. I spent many nights unable to sleep because I had trouble breathing. I was in a hospital so they could run tests. I told my brother he didn't have to come, but he'd show up to visit anyway. And yeah, like beer tastes better when you work at a construction site. You can really feel it going down. Answering calls for a late night mail order service is fun because you get lots of odd customers. And then yeah, she says, are you okay working so many jobs? And then he says, I'm immortal after all. And then she says, don't you ever feel pain or get tired? And he says, nope. And she says, come to think of it, don't talented individuals have to pay some kind of price for using their talents? Apparently, yeah. And she says, Kyoya, what's yours? He says, I have a poor sense of smell. And she's like, that doesn't really feel like the price for immortality. Besides, you've always been that way. And he says, well, I doubt it's related, but I have some trouble remembering the past. At least I think I do. And she says, that's why you've been keeping a journal? And he says, I guess so. Why do you ask? And she says, no reason. And he tells him, go on, go home already. I need to study for my tests. And yeah, once he leaves, everything's dark. She like turns over in the bed. And so yeah, she says, though I pretended to be calm in my brother's presence, to be honest, I wanted to die. Brother was clearly pushing himself too hard. He would turn around when I tapped him on the shoulder. So was it possible that he wouldn't feel it, or he wouldn't feel it if it were painful? He slept next to me every night, so is it really possible that he never actually tried to sleep because of his immortality? And so yeah, a bunch of thoughts that she's just like, I wish I could spear, and then darkness. The day I was discharged from the hospital, brother didn't come to meet me. Believing something must have happened to my brother, I called the college first. And that's correct. And yeah, he hadn't attended his lectures that day. He hadn't been to work either. I didn't know what to do, so I rushed home. And then yeah, she finds Kyoya like bleeding from the head up against a wall. So yeah, she yells, brother. And he's just like, hey Rin, and sorry, I was on my way to meet you, but... And then she's like, are you okay? And he says, I spaced out in a car. No bicycle ran me over. I felt sick and realized I was lying on the ground. But as you can see, I'm immortal. He says, brother, how much have you been working and studying instead of sleeping? Well, you know, apparently I can't die from lack of sleep. He says, I couldn't take it anymore. Was he really going to continue taking care of me until he eventually buried me all alone? And then she like, yeah. It says, I won't let that happen. And then he says, huh? It's just, I can't kill myself. since it would make brother sad, he asked me not to die. And she says, "Brother, you remember, don't you? Today's the day Mom died." And then he says, "Oh yeah, you're right." And then yeah, she's got this like smiles, but it's like a dead kind of smile. Her eyes are like all hazed out. And he says, "Our mother died on a hot day in the middle of summer, and my brother loved her more than anyone. There's no way he'd forget. I could only assume that was the price of his talent, so I devised a plan to erase myself and then carried it out." Okay, so yeah. Flipping through his book, or flipping through his journal. And it says, "At first he noticed right away." And he says, "Have you been messing with my journal?" And she says, "Huh? It seems like there's something really wrong with my memory. I need this journal to remember the past. I've made it so I can tell immediately if it's been modified." And she says, "How would it benefit me to mess with your precious journal? That's what I'm asking you. Only my entries about you are missing. What you had for breakfast, the temperature, your fever, whether or not you went to school. Ren, why would you do this?" And after about 10 days of practice, she says, "I thought I'd learn to copy my brother's handwriting, but brother used the spacing between characters when he started a new line and wrote sentences using a specific number of characters according to some set of rules, and included odd sketches. Used every method he could conceive of to protect his writing. I knew I was hurting him, but despite that, I couldn't back down. I sometimes endured fevers and respiratory issues to study my brother's journal like a woman possessed." And then, yeah, rather than changing the entirety of the contents of the journal at once, made adjustments little by little. For example, I'd say we ate breakfast together, but say I wasn't there when my brother went to the public bath that night, even though we went together. It says, while walking around at night, I met the old man who we always run into. He happily told me his grandson was coming home. On days I was stuck in bed all day because of a fever, I'd say he was up all night studying, even though he actually skipped work and school to stay by my side taking care of me. And so roughly once a week, I modify part of his journal and carefully defied my brother. And then, yeah, it says, "I had fun. Took a whole year before I saw any result. That day, flipping through his journal as he always did, he says, 'Ren, what?' And he says, 'Nothing, you're Ren, right?' And she said, 'What are you talking about?' And he says, 'Oh, sorry, I'm just stuck writing this paper.' And he says, 'That was probably the cold response of a murderer. The only thing left to do was fade away.' So yeah, then she goes off on her own, I guess. Nearly 2 years after I started modifying his notebook, my plan was in its final stages. So yeah, he wakes up and says, 'My brother had mostly forgotten about me. When he woke up that morning, he saw me. He seemed startled. He had no idea what his sister's name was anymore. Days passed as he treated me like a suspicious person who lived in the same room. He seemed to be suffering. Though he understood who his sickly roommate was, there was no record of her in his journals that he relied on to remember things.' And see, like he's pinned her up against the wall and is trying to say something, but he says, 'Not once did he ask me directly. He knew it would hurt me to ask, "Who are you?" Though he didn't know who I was, he seemed to sense I was important to him, so he suppressed his words. So for about a week, I lived on the streets to avoid seeing my brother. I actually wanted to stay away from him for over a month instead of just a week. I had no friends I could rely on, and I doubted I had the strength to make it that long. All I had to eat was the bread a considerate homeless person had given me 3 days earlier. Stopped going to school a long time ago, though I pretended I was attending classes. Knowing I lost my brother and that I'd die soon, the cheer of spring and classmates' voices made me feel nothing. So yeah, we see kind of like makeshift thing she's living out of. Then goes and sees him. And then he says, "Who are you?" She says, "Sorry, it looks like I came to the wrong house." And he says, "Are you okay? You look like you've been in the woods." And he's like, "Oh, thank you." And what's that? And he says, "Oh, this, a present, a birthday present. For whom?" And then she says, "Goodbye." It says, and then she says, "In my brother's journal, it was written that he wouldn't be discouraged by the death of our parents and would do whatever it took to achieve his dreams. There was no place left for me in them." And then you see her laughing as she runs away. Or she's like laughing, but she's crying as she runs off. And she says, "Having severed my connection to my brother, who was my only family, I felt like I'd become no one. I hated myself. I wished I could die and become someone else." And she says, "When I awoke from the dream I wished would never end, a certain power had awakened in me." This is so... yeah. Now we're back to the present. Psyche says, "What are we going to do? You want to save all these guys, right? So, of course, as many of them as possible. Oh. We should consider our plan first." And Nana says, "By the way, Kyoya-san, you've never been able to forget your sister, have you?" And she says, "That's because..." And then going on, a siren or guys yelling, "A public execution order will be held soon. I repeat, a public execution will be held soon. The criminal's name is Onodera Ren." And so yeah, that's the chapter. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, then leave a like, comment on the video, subscribe for more anime reaction reviews and manga reviews. It's also interesting thing of how we got to the beginning of the series where he comes to the island looking for her. And he would have to remember her somewhere along the line. But yeah, I'll see you all next time. So yeah, later.